The holiday of Shabuot. Shabuot is our yearly commemoration of Am Yisrael receiving the Torah from Borei Olam at Har Sinai. The holiday of Shabuot has many beautiful minhagim associated with it. The most beautiful of all is the recitation of the Azharot. Azharot is a poetic form of all 613 mitzvot of the Torah. And this endears the mitzvot to us. We get to enjoy them. We get to really see the beauty of the mitzvot. And so many of our hachamim over the course of centuries have turned the mitzvot of the Torah into poetic form. But the grandest of all are the Azharot of Rabbeinu Shlomo ibn Gabirol of 10th century Spain. He took the Azharot and he really raised them to a higher level. So much so that this has become a custom among all Sephardic Jews that were exiled from Spain, have carried this minhag with them. And we've been doing this for close to 1,000 years now. So no matter whether you're from Syria, Egypt, Lebanon, Iraq, Turkey, Greece, Eretz Israel, and so many other places, you know the holiday of Shabuot comes, the family gets together, sits around the table, laden with beautiful sweets for the holiday, and the Azharot are recited. They are sung together. Each person will take a piece, and it's a fantastic minhag. It's minhag that's been going on for so long, and it's become so dear. For example, we have a Azharot that was translated into Judeo-Arabic, printed in 1912 in Halab. And it says on the cover that this was done to endear them to the children, teach the children the mitzvot, teach them the Azharot. Therefore, when they grow up, they will know the mitzvot and they'll be able to follow them properly, and they will look at it as something pleasant and not as a chore, not as something that, is beleaguered on them, but rather a labor of love. Later on, within our own community, the famed principal and educator, Rabbi David Biton, was so enamored by the Azharot, especially when he got to New York and he saw year after year on the holiday of Shabuot in Shar Sion, Mr. Salim Sutton, alav shalom, teaching the Azharot, explaining the Azharot. It gave him that feeling that he had to write a commentary on Azharot, and he wrote a fantastic commentary we know, and we've been using already since 1980 when he first put it out. It's called Tam Vada'at, and it's a fantastic explanation of the Azharot, of the mitzvot. As it was written in Hebrew, it became difficult for people to understand, and about a dozen or so years ago, the Sephardic Heritage Foundation decided to issue a book of Azharot specifically for Shabuot, with a Hebrew explanation by Rabbi Aluf and an English explanation by Rabbi Labaton, alav shalom. And this is a fantastic item for the family to sit, read, get together, to enjoy the Azharot, to understand the meaning of the mitzvot, and to cherish them. And this is something that was always done on the days of Shabuot, usually prior to Minha, as you had plenty of time after you took a nap, after you had lunch. You'd sit around with the family, with friends, and you'd read the Azharot, you'd sing the Azharot, you'd explain them, to one another, to really enjoy them. And on the first day, the Mizvot Aseh would be done. On the second day, the Mizvot Lo Ta'aseh would be done, followed by the reading of Azharot. We would also read the first half of Megillat Ruth on the first day, and the second half on the second day, to instill within us not just putting the mitzvot into action, but seeing how the mitzvot worked within society, especially mitzvot ben adam lamakom and ben adam lahaviro, how they intertwined, intermingled with one another, so we could really take it to heart and carry that lesson throughout the year. Now, as I said, this was the sweetness of the mitzvot. The sweetness also carried through to the palate as well, and while the Azharot would read, there were special sweets on the table specifically for Shabuot. Not that they weren't partaken of throughout the year, but specifically on Shabuot, these sweets, these halwiyat, were known to have been on the table. Things like Krabij. Krabij you had to have because of the notif. that goes on top, the white, what we know today in America as marshmallow fluff. But that natif, was homemade in the past, and the reason it was used was a play on words because of the holiday Mizmor. The holiday Mizmor of Shabuot is a pasuk that says, Eres Ra'asha of Shamaim Natifu. So Natifu, Natif, they would have that. Other things that you'd have Rizb Halib, you'd have Rizb Asal, you'd have Al-Masiyah, all types of sweet, golden, honeyish things that would be extra sweet on the palate to connect the sweetness that is both going into your mouth from what you're eating as well as what's going out of your mouth from reading and reciting the mizvot. I'd also like to mention that this year is the 1-year commemoration of Minhag of the Week. The SCA put together this idea of having a weekly minhag, and we started it last year on Shabuot, and this is our commemoration, Shabuot, from year to year. The same way we accept the Torah upon us from year to year, and we relive the Torah, and we give over the ideas of the Torah from father to son and from mother to daughter, and we transmit our traditions, from the Torah, as we've been doing now for thousands of years. This is now a minhag within our community that we've started Minhag of the Week through the auspices of the SCA to transmit our traditions, our heritage, our minhagim, and hopefully this will be an ongoing thing for many years to come. To school the mizvot to all those involved, to school the Shemana Bot, Na'im Tovot.